Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Dave, Chris, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for joining us for episode 9 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. For those of you watching on YouTube, thanks for stopping by, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the show. Today, we will be looking towards Inter Miami's much anticipated return to MLS League play following the League's Cup and US Open Cup breaks. And we take on the New York Red Bulls on Saturday. I think now is the perfect time, since it's been quite a while since Inter Miami's played in the league, that we look at the standings. We currently sit at 18 points, a whopping 18 points. And we are 14 points back of playing spots behind Montreal and Chicago. The only caveat is that we have 2 games in hand over those 2 teams. So before getting into too much detail over different scenarios, let's just get a pulse check. Dave, will we make the playoffs?
Yes, we will be making the playoffs. Had to check my pulse real quick. Yeah, I don't think it's a question of if we make the playoffs. It's how do we get into the playoffs? Are we going to be a play-in team, or are we going to be an outright? I think we might be an outright. Right? I think it's possible.
We're 16 points back of being a non-play-in team.
This is your prediction, not ours.
Yeah.
Keep on.
Okay, so maybe here's a better way to look at it. Will we host, at minimum, host a play-in match?
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is,
the same amount of points, right? As the
Yes.
Yeah.
We saw it in this last match in the semis for the US Open, that we're tinkering. We're at that stage where we're tinkering, and we're getting more of the young guys involved. And that's what we need to move forward. We have to be able to sub off some of our stars and central pieces. And there was definite glimmers of hope that we can survive without some of our usual 11 in there. Yeah, Gomez needs to improve his play, but I really enjoyed what I saw from Varias. We all saw Toto. I know we're gonna lose Christoph at some point, so Toto's gonna have to step up. Christoph's going to join his national team for Ukraine, and but yeah, I think that we have enough talent on this team as constructed and of course with the infusion of Messi, Busquets, and Alba. I think that it'll be extremely disappointing if they don't, and I fully expect them to get through.
Yeah, and David, that's a great point about Christoph going to his national team. I think we all pretty much agreed that Toto played pretty good in his first start playing defense. So he's obviously going to be the direct replacement for Christoph. Our defense hasn't been very good to begin with, especially in the MLS. Obviously in the Leagues Cup and now in the semifinals for the US Open Cup, we're a little better. But before that, they were not good at all. They were abysmal. So losing one of our starters is going to be a key point, I think, going on for the rest of the season. And our young guy is going to have to step up. So that's going to be very interesting to see. As far as my prediction, yeah, I think we made the playoffs. I think we are a play-in team outright. It's going to be very difficult just to get to that point. But yeah, we'll be a play-in team, and I don't think we'll have much of an issue. It's a steep climb ahead, but man, we have some of the best players to ever do it. So it's going to be fun, though. It's going to be a ride, that's for sure.
I think what it depends on is 2 things. We play LAFC on September 3rd. By then, we would have played from here to then 3 games in 3 to 4 days. 3 to 4, not days, but days of rest. What does that mean to me? Well, right now, Tata's already talking about, hey, Messi's a little bit tired. That tells me if he's a little bit tired, they're probably looking at starting to rest him. They're probably looking at starting to tinker with when can we take him out of games? Are we going to try and just blitz in the beginning of the game and just try to go, just all hands on deck and try and blow the game wide open off the start, and that way we can already start with, hey, here, take the half off. We're up 4-0. This game coming up, it's possible that that's the approach. With that being the approach, and you're trying to rest your guys, if we go 3-0 by the time we play LAFC, that would be almost. Hopefully they would have almost caught up to the games that were behind on these other guys. I haven't seen that, but in my head, I'm like, okay, we had those 2 games that were owed to catch up to. You said Chicago and Montreal, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if we catch up in those 2 games, boom, that's 6 points right there, and then we get another one, nine points in 2 weeks. 9 points, and there's another 2 months left, so I'm hoping after that we have a week rest and then another week rest, and so that'll be a big difference for our guys trying to recover, and hopefully we can get a little a little rest.
Yeah, so just to add on to the Christoph conversation, there's actually international break for quite a few players. There's U.S. national team friendlies, there's Canadian friendlies, there's Argentinian World Cup qualifying matches. So it's going to be interesting who from our team plays in those matches. Karaski was called to the provisional team. Calendar was added to the provisional team.
Not calendar.
Not calendar?
No, I'm saying don't take calendar, please.
I see. Yeah. So those are all happening right around Inter Miami fixtures. Like, they're happening too close to have our players be playing for the national team and also for these matches. So there's going to need to be heavy rotation, and we're going to have to rely certain games on unsung others, because there's going to be games that we don't have Messi potentially. There's going to be games that we don't have Alba potentially. I think Busquets retired from the national team, but I mean, he can't do it all.
No, definitely not. But also, we have to also remember, right? There's other teams dealing with the same stuff.
Correct.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So and it's everyone else's best players as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where I think we also have we have some good depth. You know what I'm saying? To be able to battle this a little better, but definitely it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, all teams will be dealing with it, like you said.
Yeah, but I think we rely so much more on our top players than some of these other teams might rely on their top players. The drop off can be significant.
If Messi is out, I mean,
not just Messi though. Like there's a lot. We're top heavy. That's been our thing. That's why I applaud Tata for trying something different this last match, because he knows that we're gonna have to rely on some other guys. They need to get that playing time in. So it's dangerous for us. That's one thing that could hurt us. But I think that their last few purchases have turned out pretty well. The one that, of course, I keep harping on it. I want to see more from Gomez. I need to see more from Gomez.
Yeah, Gomez is going to need to pick up his game and acclimate better than he has been. Because
what weeks are we? Yeah, by the way,
they're just scattered throughout. They're just scattered throughout September. There's Argentinian World Cup qualifying in early September. There's U.S. men's national team friendlies on like the 23rd or 21st of September.
And those Argentinians, like, they've all played together, right? Right, Jose?
They all play with each other, apparently.
They have great chemistry.
So yeah, they're just scattered throughout September, and they vary from friendlies to World Cup qualifying, and so they vary in importance. And I mean, for some of these players, that's a dream, and I would be surprised if Tata did not allow them to go if they were called up. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out over the next month. I guess I'll give my prediction. I think we're gonna make the playoffs as a playing team. The teams that we're fighting against are equally not good, right? Like, everyone's saying Inter Miami is the worst team in the league before Messi and all this stuff. These teams are also not good. So they're not going to be pulling away from us necessarily. We're going to be catching them. We'll see. After this weekend, we may already be out of the gutter, out of the basement, and past Toronto, and then looking ahead at NYCFC. And New York Red Bulls is one of the teams that we're going to have to leapfrog to get to our goal of making the playoffs. So this is a huge fixture coming up, even though it's the first one back. And
what's the magic number? Julio? You said it earlier. Is it 16? You said, or 8? It's 8 with assuming we win those 2 games that we have to catch up, right?
yeah, so if we win the 2 games that we have in hand, we'll be 8 points back. But that's not the magic number. That's
Right.
8 points, all
Right.
things equal. Then there's still 10 games remaining in the season.
Mhm.
So realistically, we would probably need to win 8 to 10 games to get 24 plus points, which it's a lot. We
These
saw
other teams are
against
still playing. These other teams are still playing, and
Yeah,
that was my
correct.
second thing where
correct.
it depends on it depends on how much rest and how much we're going to be taking them out, and how many players are actually going to be available. But it also depends on how these other teams are going to be playing. Because if they win their games, we're not in.
And there's no pens, so
Right.
we might just come away
We
with a
can't
point.
we can't be
with a
dropping
point.
points to draws,
Yeah.
right?
Has to be straight up wins.
Yeah. So last year, what would have been the play-in teams were just over 40 points for the season. Montreal and Chicago right now are sitting at 32. That means they only need 9 points based on last year's standings, which is only 3 wins, or mix in 2 wins, 4 draws, and however many else losses. It's not a lot that they need to make up. Now, this year it might be 50 plus points, gets into the play-in. We'll see how it shakes out, but there's certainly an uphill battle at play. But we have the best player in the world, as we've been saying week over week, and we should be favorites every time we come up against any team, but especially against bottom half teams, because we're realistically, if the season started right now, you wouldn't anticipate us being the last place team. So I think moving forward, the league understands that, and teams that we come up against also understand that, and they'll game plan accordingly.
What I'm hoping for is at the end of the year we play Cincinnati. If Cincinnati's all in on beating us, I feel like that team again won't lose to us again. They play us super hard, and that's going to be one of the games that I see us dropping in the end. It's like literally the second to last game, and those are you start going down the schedule. You start putting win loss. I was putting that as one of those games where it's like at Cincinnati again, and we got to beat them again at that place. They already saw us.
Miami.
They played us the best. They played us the best. I was very worried most of the game.
What's wrong with you? What happened to you?
It's at Miami, and also we're going to win every single game.
I mean, what's going to happen at the end of this? Ultimately, are we going to be hosting a trophy? Yes, that's not the question that we're asking, David. We're just talking about one game out of the next 12.
No, you said we're not losing any more games. That's it. We got all
cocky Miami
Where's
fan.
cocky Miami fan?
We got
it.
all the
Was
losing done
up
out of
here.
the way before Messi got here. And we're like, okay, those are our losses, and now we have Messi. So guess what? It's time to win every freaking game that we go. So that's enough. The losing's done. We might draw.
Cocky Miami
I'll
fan
give
went
you a
from
draw.
up here to down here.
I'll give you one draw.
Get some
might-
coffee. Get some coffee. Let's get cafecito because we're Miami.
Come on.
All right, so
Scared
we're
of
gonna
it.
win every game. But let's talk about this first game.
We're gonna win every game.
Let's talk about this first game that we're gonna win, that we need to win. New York Red Bulls are currently in 11th place in the standings, 4 spots ahead of Inter Miami, 11 points ahead of us. They are 7, 8, and 9 on the season. At home, they are 6, 4, and 3. The records maybe not reflective of their recent form at home. At home, they've won 3 of their last 5, and they just beat DC United on a 1-0. They scored via a penalty, and were overall
was a
not
stinker.
impressive.
That's Iniesta's team, right? DC United is Iniesta.
Rooney,
Oh, sorry, Rooney. Wayne Rooney.
who said that the MLS was going to be really tough for Messi to acclimate.
Yeah, I mean that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So I'm not surprised that New York beat them. but yeah.
So, from what I've seen, I Red Bulls are a weird team to figure out for me, because to me it seems like their attackers really aren't as much of a threat as everyone else on the pitches for them. And it's not even by way of like total football. It's not the whole team's kind of pitching in. It's just their strikers don't do anything. It's similar to what we were talking about with Santos in the Cincinnati match. It's like once they get into the penalty box, they can't put deadly shots on target.
They're space occupiers.
It's bizarre to me. So
yeah, the way I saw it is just exactly what you're saying. It's just they rely a lot on the left and right back to start their offense. It seems like they the strikers, I didn't see much when we were watching the last two games. They really weren't doing anything that I thought was that's very nice. That a lot of things I saw them do was missing shots. That's what I saw them do. I love the back. They weren't that bad as starting their offense. The problem is they just never finished.
Right. So they typically play a 4-4-2 flat. And they have a lot of comfort playing wide. It seems like they don't play through the middle often. And based on their season stats, they have typically less possession of the ball than their opposition. And their passing to me seems to be a little bit lacking. Again, on average, but 72% per match is not great, in my opinion. So I think we'll have a lot of opportunity to counter. We'll be able to possess the ball. Hopefully it's dangerous possession, like we always say. And we'll see how it plays out. Assuming that Messi plays minimum 60 minutes, I think there's no way Red Bull stand a chance, to be honest. That's my keys to the match. Messi playing 60 minutes and New York playing to their averages of the season.
Right. My keys are we jump early. We have to jump early by 3 with heavy possession. I always say heavy possession, but I'm not talking about heavy possession like usually I say 60%. No, I want like 75% because this team is not very good. Yeah, because they're not very good. Like Julio said, they're constantly getting turnovers. Every time they're getting a bunch of turnovers, we can easily have the ball on their side. Just dangerous, constantly dangerous. I'm expecting to watch this game, have a beer in my hand, and just like be very happy, and just like constantly just a barrage of shots, just pelting.
Did you take a cafecito shot off screen quickly? There he is. There's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a very fun game for us fans. You know, it should be a fun game. I think it's going to be short lived because I do think they're going to take out Messi at some point. Tata already kind of said, we're thinking about taking him out. He's a little tired. That's fine. This is a great game to do. So I would love for us to jump ahead and see what happens.
So it's funny you said Pelton with shots, Jose, because reviewing this matchup, saw something very interesting, right? So great stat, love it. Funny enough, their goalie is the worst in the league as far as saves go. 58%, abysmal, the worst.
Fire at will.
But exactly, fire at will, poor Will. But funny enough, they do have one of the best defenses in the league. So shots against, they are first, 62, the best. Goals against, they are fourth. They are fourth at 26 goals against. So as long as the ball does not get past their defense, they'll be good, right?
What if
Keys to the match, fire at will.
What if the explanation for that is people score goals on them and then they just play keep away the rest of the game? They don't have to keep scoring on them.
Well, that's the case. But yeah, man, we got to pelt them. Fire at will. Get it past their defense, which, again, if Messi plays 60 minutes, we shouldn't have any issue with them. But yeah, get that ball past their defense, take the shots. Last match we had, what was it, Julio? 11 shots on goal against Cincinnati. If we replicate something anywhere near that, I don't think we'll have any issue with them at all.
Jose says that his key is to get on them early, and we need to score 3.
I just want Messi out. That's why.
I say give me 1 goal. We score 1 goal, and I'm ready to watch this team collapse.
Oh,
I think we just score that 1 goal, and we're good. Messi can play his 60 minutes, even with a 1-0 lead, come off, and I still think we'd be fine. Give me 1 goal.
I would be sweating bullets at that point. Messi's out, and we're only up by 1. Oh my god!
I just love the groundbreaking idea that a keys to the game is to score 3 goals early
with heavy possession, with
75% plus.
Yeah, I mean,
Keys to the game, just groundbreaking analysis over here. Only available on the Heron Heads podcast via Jose.
let me
Love
tell you
it.
something. It was very rough watching those last two games that they had. Very,
You're ready
very
for
rough.
sweet release. You're ready for Philadelphia again. You're ready for Orlando City and Atlanta United again.
100%, 100%. This was so sad. You want me to tell you, well, like we were watching this last game, right? That they just won 1-0. Wasn't it off of like I think it was on a set piece. That was that's how they scored. Okay, so I saw.
Oh,
they
right. It wasn't a
scored
penalty.
set piece.
Correct.
Yeah,
It was a free kick.
Right, on a free kick. On they never scored on low driven crosses, so that was like I was like, okay, well that's never happening. Drawing and they were just drawing a foul in the box against the NYCFC. That's those boom, two ways they scored. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so we just have to make sure that we don't foul inside of the box, and we just have to make sure that we don't foul in the area of the box, and they will score. That's what I saw. And what was sadder about this team was that not only was that how they scored, but when you look in the stands, I didn't see one. I saw chunks of missing fans there. I thought that, and it's just funny. We're gonna see a totally different team now, at least attendance wise.
Yeah, the atmosphere will definitely be different. However, I don't expect it to be as feisty as it was the last couple matches. It'll be much more pro Messi atmosphere.
There's gonna be a bunch of Messi jerseys, Miami jerseys. It's gonna be filled with it.
David,
it is what it is.
The NYCFC game was against the Red Bulls. Actually, they're two New York teams, and watching that game was sad. How little the fans were in the stadium. There's with the two New York teams, they could have filled the stadium.
Right now, cheapest price to go to the Red Bulls game on Saturday via Game Time app, and this is at August 24th, 10 p.m.
Not sponsors.
$524 to get into the building.
It's ridiculous.
It's gonna be all Messi fans.
They could have just gone the other day. It would have been $20.
It's gonna be all Messi fans or very wealthy people. That's wild. I actually didn't expect it to be 500 plus.
Wow.
That's
shocking.
Ridiculous. Yeah, so I mean, listen, New York are in the bottom half of the table for a reason. They might just try to do like a low block and really make us create something out of nothing, sit back with 8 to 9 people, and then when they get the ball back, try to just play a long ball outlet and hope that they can hit us on a counter. I do expect some rotation in the starting lineup. I don't know what you guys think about that. You guys want to jump into some roster decisions?
I see Gomez playing a little bit more, just because I think they're hell bent on him working out, and he had a bad game last game. I'm hoping for a bounce back game, and Kramaski was an animal last game. When they put him in, I would love to see more of him as well, and see if they're going to still do the same formation they had last game. I don't know if it wasn't very good, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Taylor gets back into the starting lineup. I similarly to Gomez, like you were just saying, we need to work through these kind of growing pains. And Taylor's always been hot and cold. He's due to get hot because he's been ice cold.
You know how I'm looking forward to seeing this game? Funny enough, David Ruiz. I think they're gonna take out Messi somewhat early, 60 minutes or so.
When we're up 3-0.
When we're up 3-0. And David Ruiz is gonna come in. Did you guys see the advice that Messi gave David Ruiz recently? He said, stand still more. Don't move around so much. Messi's trying to show him what the key to scoring is. So I'm excited to see him after the 60 minutes that Messi plays. He's gonna put in Ruiz and he's gonna tell him, go do what I told you to do. Stand around. Do less. Get into those little spots and score the goal.
The way of the GOAT.
I think he told him that though, so he stopped getting in his way. I think he was like, "Do me a favor, go over there and stand over there."
I was actually a little frustrated watching Ruiz last match because I felt the ball would stick to him. A lot of times they passed him the ball and he got tunnel vision and he wasn't looking to pass and he was just like a freight train, moving like a bat out of hell, going straight towards the goal. And then of course he wouldn't get a good shot off, or the ball would get taken away from him, or he'd trip over the ball. There was a lot of and that's stuff you expect from a young ambitious player. But he needs to learn how to play within the system, and he has to trust his teammates to make a good decision off the ball. So that's something that I'll hope to see from him. Maybe he gets a start. My lineup projection is I do expect David Ruiz to get a start, if not this match, but maybe the next match. And yeah, it's we have to start incorporating these younger players. We're gonna have to rely on them.
Do you think we roll out a 3-5-2 again?
I think so, just because it gives us a little more flexibility with the younger players. We can, it doesn't hurt so much to play a younger player when you know you have a little bit more of a defensive scheme behind them. But it doesn't help. It doesn't help with Jose's like ambition of scoring 3 quick goals.
It might.
It might not.
I'm kind of thinking that they're gonna stick with Campana in the starting lineup also. So that you should love that. Yeah. I mean he did great. Leave him in, give Joseph another game of rest. I think eventually they're gonna take. I would see them taking Messi out of the starting lineups soon as well, and maybe putting Joseph at that point. You know what I'm saying? Just continuing a little rotation between those three.
You know what I would love to see is Campana and Joseph from the jump. I would love to see them both with Messi sitting in behind them as a 10. Excuse me. And before we jump on from Ruiz, I wanna shout out Juan Aguilera 8130 on YouTube, who advised me that David Ruiz's socks are cut and they were not torn by defenders when he went up to take a penalty that I mentioned in the last episode. He cuts them to relieve some of the pressure on his little calves. So I wanted to correct myself and also give Juan a shout out. Thank you for commenting on our YouTube video and providing that that little snippet that I had no idea of. I completely thought that a defender tore his socks.
Was that Ruiz's burner account or something?
Maybe it was a primo. Who knows? But yeah, I would love to see Tata continue to tinker and just find different ways where we can play, find ways to incorporate pieces. You know, maybe we go, like I was mentioning, Campana and Joseph, and then eventually when Messi gets pulled, maybe put in Facundo and let him play at the 10. Like he seemed to have such a good read of the field. You know, maybe Robert Taylor mixes in on the wings and we mix the formation up back to a 3-5-2 a little bit. I think it would be just really interesting. I think the 3 at the back provides us with a lot of flexibility, like you said, Dave, to incorporate some of these younger players and some of these newer players, and give them just a little bit more freedom. It's a little more free flowing of a formation. It can sort of change into a 4 at the back, 5 at the back, 3 at the back. It's very easy to kind of change between those systems. So I'm really interested to see what Tata does. I think he rotates pretty heavily from what we've seen, and I think he has to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really concerned with the possession, because like that's one thing I was looking at, because it'll set the tone for us, but also when you're looking at their statistics in general throughout the year, they have very low percentage in possession. Like I was looking at the NYCFC game, they only had 37% against NYCFC. That's really bad. Like considering that that's literally what we do.
That'll get you to your percentage that you want.
Oh, yeah, I mean they did it. What you doing?
Yeah, I mean they sit at 47% for the year. I would be shocked if we had anything less than 55%.
Yeah.
You know, even if we go up early, even if it's a big lead early, yeah. I don't think we sit so far back that they possess the ball so much. I think it will be easier compared to the past couple games to hold on to the ball than it was against Cincinnati and Philadelphia and Nashville for that matter. But this team doesn't scare me. And I apologize to New York Red Bull fans, but that's just the facts is the facts. And
they understand. That's why they don't go to the games.
I'll jump straight into prediction.
We never went to the game.
I'll jump the gun and go straight into predictions. I think we're going to win this game 4-0. And I think Messi's going to get back on the score sheet with just one goal. Just one goal. Robert Taylor back on the score sheet with a goal. And Diego Gomez scores a goal. He is a scorer. How about that?
If you say so.
I'm predicting 4-1. We're gonna win, and then Messi's gonna meet me at Peter Luger's. He's gonna be gone by the 75th minute. We'll have a good nice steak. It's one of the nicest restaurants out there. We'll have a great time. It's a wrap from the 75th minute. At that point, have some beers, have some nice steaks. We'll have a good time.
You texted him, made plans already?
Yeah, we already talked. We're good.
That's good. I'm going with a 2-0 win by Miami. I think we parked the bus. Messi's out early. Put these young guys in. Park the bus. And easy win. Get in, get out. Everyone gets their rest as needed. Our young players get their playing time. Move on to the next match. Start climbing up that ladder.
I say 5-1, but my bold prediction is that when Messi comes off, we're gonna have more goals even after Messi comes off.
Love
I think
that.
3 goals after Messi comes off.
Wow. Love that prediction. So I know we're all very bullish and we all think we're going to just blow them out of the water. How does Miami lose this game?
If they get the stomach flu before the match starts.
If Tata decides this and Messi's not fit for this game, and at that point that's the greatest equalizer, just taking our best player out.
Even if we have Jordi Alba and Busquets on.
I was just gonna say if we sit the big three, I think that's the only way that we lose.
I don't know. I feel like the pieces that we've added, even if you remove the big three, we're still a stronger team than we were before we added them. I do think that we have more coverage than we had before. So I don't think that we're some hapless team without them. We're not obviously we're not as strong, but I don't think that we're just like never going to win another game if we don't ever use those 3.
So to try and to answer your question in a different format, Julio. So that's the obvious answer I feel, but to answer from a strategy standpoint, I would say if they get their wingbacks going, they have two blonde wingbacks that I was watching, 17 and 47, and that whole game I don't know what it was, but they kept dodging on the sides of the pitch and they were creating havoc. They didn't lead to much, but let's just say you're asking if it were to happen, what would happen? Okay, those two are darting down the sides of the field, and that's how the way their offense flows. Now they're starting to bring in the ball in, and these strikes that they're trying to get in, all of a sudden they start going in. That's how it happens.
Tolkien and Harper.
We are not strong in those situations. That would be our downfall. Where if you hit us on the sides, we're not very good at covering. Yedlin is extremely aggressive. Alba is extremely aggressive. And they start whiffing on some
tackles, right?
I disagree with you. I think that we've improved drastically in our coverage of those types of attacks.
Yeah, but given the question of how do we lose?
Again, if they trip every time that these guys are running down the field and,
by an act of God only.
Yeah, and then the center back slip on a patch of ice that somehow is on the field. Like, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. It's just very, very, very far-fetched to think that this team somehow collapses to this. Maybe they all get heat stroke. That maybe the travel and the heat and all this finally affects them. But I don't like their wingbacks. I don't. I saw them play for 5 minutes, and I didn't like them. I didn't think they had anything special to them. I'm sure they're great kids, great guys, but they're not up for the standard that they're about to see. So
yeah, I think if they don't penetrate that defensive wall, that's strategy wise, maybe that's how they lose. But
like mucking it up, essentially, is what you're saying.
You love that word.
The good old muck.
Gotta muck it up. Gotta muck it up.
Love it.
People have mucked it up on us. Let's just say they mucked it up, whether we know it or not. They did. Whether it worked, different story.
I would be remiss to say as part of my prediction that Leo Campana also scores, obviously.
With his feet or with his head?
With his face.
With his feet. From the run of play, not on a set piece. All right, so quickly here before we wrap. Time of the first goal, I'm gonna say it's actually pretty quick. 9 minutes.
5.
4.
Oh, come on. Don't do it.
2.
No.
Oh, gosh.
Done
Okay,
it
well,
before.
there
We've
you
done it
have it.
before.
It's gonna be 3-0 by halftime is basically the consensus from the Heron Heads over here. So without further ado, that's that for our match preview against New York Red Bulls. The match will take place on Saturday, and as always, a recap will be out shortly after the match. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Hit the notification bell on all your apps wherever you follow us. Leave us comments. Tell us what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying. Correct us on any mistakes that you've seen. And as always, thanks for tuning into the Heron Heads podcast, your first place for all things Inter Miami.